Am I really supposed to be here? Raise your hand if you've ever felt like you're the only person in the room who didn't know what you were doing. Okay, great, so I'm not alone. So if you're like me, you feel like somehow, some way, everyone else deserves to be here. But you, on the other hand, you have somehow, some way, snuck your way in. I remember feeling like this when I first came to Stanford. More than in any other time in recent memory, I felt like I had bamboozled someone for the school to let me in. I mean, why would they choose me? I got in off the wait list. The more people I spoke to, the more I realized I was focusing on what I was not. Some of the conversations I had made me feel really small. Surely you must be an Olympian? No? Not that, okay. Or a Grammy Award-winning opera singer? No? Okay. Then you must have built and sold your first unicorn before your 19th birthday. No. I exaggerate, though only slightly, to showcase how I was perceiving some of these interactions at the time. And while I loved meeting such incredible people, and I really did, I was doing what many of us know to be imposter syndrome. For years, researchers from psychology to education have studied why so many of us, no matter our successes, continue to battle with this mindset. Imposter syndrome was holding me back. I was spending so much energy posturing, trying to prove I deserve to be here, rather than doing the work that I came here to do. Insecurity had led me to tell myself old stories. When I thought of myself, I was anchoring to the version of me that I had been when I was 14 years old. The one who built her self-concept in terms of every mistake and misstep, rather than the growth and the strength built over time. The story I told myself was that I was forever that kid on the outskirts of the social scene. The one who had a slouch from growing too tall too quickly, who rocked a back brace and orthopedic shoes, and who had a lisp and a mumble simultaneously. That version of me lived squarely in the before part of the hero's journey story trope. My internal self-perception looked something like this, focusing on all of my weaknesses. And my magnifying glass amplified them. Joan Didion says we tell ourselves stories in order to live. Well, to a degree, I loved telling myself these lowball narratives. I mean, who doesn't love a good tearjerker? The heartbreak, the intrigue, the twists, the takeaways and lessons learned. And in a weird way, telling myself these narratives felt good because they were familiar. I was giving myself a familiar crutch that made risk aversion okay. I could then point to an opportunity, a person, a challenge, and say, see? Of course that's out of my reach. I'm all the way down here. Today, too often, there is a dream gap. Our background dictates what we think is in our realm of possibility. Where we grow up, who our family is, what we know. So when dreams come, getting that job on Wall Street, writing that book, starting that talk show, we tell ourselves, there's no way. That's not possible. Not for me. We put the successes of others, the successes that we secretly want for ourselves, on a pedestal. That pedestal gives us an easy out. We elevate these dreams and these goals beyond their actual components to the point where they are laughably out of reach. But what if we take those people, those dreams, those goals off of their pedestals? Now, I'm not going to pretend like all of the buts and the asterisks they put in our minds are made up. Society as it stands is not an equal playing field. Resources are not evenly available. Still, the last thing we need to be doing is taking part in widening that gap due to our own preconceived notions. And it took me a lot longer to realize that even though I wasn't an Olympian or a Grammy winner, I still had a lot to offer. So how did I do it? How did someone like that, the gawky 14-year-old, go on to become who I am today? To move internationally alone, to become president of my dream business school, to co-found a company. And how can you do it too? We can channel a better truth. We can become better storytellers, and what's more, we can become tellers of better stories. I looked at who's good at telling stories. If you study actors, you'll find that some of the best ones are incredible at channeling truth when it comes to building authentic characters. What does it mean to channel truth? Actors can put themselves in a place of more authentic emotional expression by thinking back to a time when they felt that emotion in its most raw form, even if completely unrelated to what they're currently experiencing in the scene. They can then channel that emotion to present as a more honest and real version of themselves. And it's still them at a different reference point in time, but it's still them. That made me start to think. I realized that that's what I'd been doing for years before this most recent bout of insecurity struck. Channeling truth is essentially telling yourself a story, one that you've already lived. The hard part is in thinking back to the details of that experience. Those details can expand or contract a memory in almost any way that we choose. Let me give you an example from my own life. So, when I was in the 8th grade, trying to figure out what I was trying to say took expert level listening skills. Not only did I have a lisp and a mumble, but when I was excited, I would speak 1,000,000 words per minute, and then nod vigorously, expecting the other person to respond. On average, it would take me 3, maybe 4 tries before the other person had any idea what I was trying to say. Public speaking, therefore, was my Everest. But I knew that it was a mountain that I wanted to conquer. So what did I do? I started small, incrementally small. I might not be able to give a speech right now, but today, I can raise my hand in class without rehearsing exactly what I'm going to say. Okay, that wasn't so bad. I can speak in front of a room of people. I might not be able to give a speech right now, but today, I can take a larger portion of my group presentation. Okay, that wasn't so bad. I can handle attention while standing in front of a room and not pass out. So far, so good today as well. In high school, I joined Model United Nations. I started giving 1-minute speeches twice a week. Each time I took a risk, I leaned on the memory that I had the last time I had done something scary. I told myself the story of a different version of myself over time, one that has built up a repository of memories that I can use to redefine what I'm capable of. By the time I graduated college, I was selected to give the graduation speech for all of the honors candidates. And now, here I am, speaking to you. The magnifying lenses under which we put our lives are powerful. We can tell ourselves stories that look like this, highlighting all of our strengths, all of the positives, or even realize that everything that we've experienced in our lives has brought us to where we are today and has value. Get rid of the magnifying glass altogether. We can build the skill set of telling ourselves better stories over time like any muscle. When we focus on action and take little risks, it can become our superpower. Over time, our minds can become Olympian-level resilient. We might not all be unicorn founders right now, but today we can take a step towards whatever that dream is. This practice creates data points upon which we can return to question our outdated narratives. When we focus on how much we have learned and grown, and therefore how much more capacity we have, imposter syndrome loses its power. I want you to become tellers of better stories. Tell yourself stories that focus on your strengths, your accomplishments, your perseverance. Start building muscles towards the version of you that you'd like to be. Face your doubts and fears. Everyone feels them. But then move on to action. Channel your truth, your best truth. Fully lean into that role. It's not always easy, but if you keep at it, you'll find that you're more capable than you ever could have imagined. What story do you want to rewrite?